What's up, y'all? Tommy here. So today is gonna be the last time that I'm really gonna shoot any type of videos addressing CPNs directly. Pretty much I shot a video a while back about CPNs. I want to say probably a couple months ago, and I didn't expect most of this, what I was getting back in terms of feedback was positive, but I've had a little bit of a backlash from certain people who, from what I understand, are either sellers of CPNs, so they sell these CPN numbers, or they're people who are currently using the CPNs, okay? And so they, I kind of went back and forth with them, explaining them my logic and so on and so forth, and everything kind of died down from there, but I still get comments from time to time, so I decided I'm gonna shoot another video breaking down exactly what I've been telling people in the comments. That way there's one last concrete video that you can watch that's gonna detail it exactly, okay? Now, for those of you guys who haven't watched that video, basically what I said in that video was my opinions and what I thought about the CPNs, which are called credit privacy numbers, but they go by a bunch of different names. The idea is that if you have let's say you have a social, right? And your social, your credit profile is not very good. So, you have a bad credit score, your credit report, you have a lot of damage on there. Let's say, for example, you have collections accounts, bankruptcies, whatever it is, but your score's so low, it's hard for you to get approved for credit. Then what people typically try to recommend is they'll try to sell you a CPN, which is supposed to take the place of your credit score, or excuse me, of your social security number. And so when you start going around applying for any type of loans, whether it's an auto loan, home loan, whatever it is, they recommend that you use this CPN that they just sold you. That way it's like a fresh new credit profile. Okay, your CPN is literally like you getting another social security number and you're trying to build it from scratch. Okay, and so in my previous video, which I'll link down below, in that video I showed examples of people who had used CPNs and had ended up getting jail time, right? Whether they were on, I covered both sides of the transaction. So people who had bought CPNs from a seller of CPNs, and they ended up going to jail because they used those CPNs on credit applications. And I also covered people who were selling CPNs and how they went to jail. They had been followed by the FBI and tracked down, and eventually ended up going to jail for long periods of time. Okay, so I'll link to that video down below so you can check it out in depth. I won't talk too much about those stories here, but here I wanted to kind of talk about some points that people have been giving me and what I think about those points and my justification for why I think you shouldn't even touch CPNs at all. I wouldn't even recommend you go anywhere near them. So whenever I was speaking to people, one of the biggest confusions, or I think what was kind of making the waters a little murky, was people were showing me an article that had been posted on the FBI website that was essentially saying that there was nothing illegal about CPNs. Okay, and I actually have that article here. So the craziest part about this article was it wasn't about the article itself, because the article was talking about fraud, right? And at the very bottom of the article, in like a footnote, there's a section where the FBI talked about CPNs, right? So they said credit privacy numbers are 9-digit file numbers that follow the same algorithm as social security numbers. Okay, they said currently federal law allows individuals to legally use CPNs for financial reporting and protects those individuals who do not wish to disclose their social security number. Now, individuals who acquire CPNs are completely responsible for any debt they incur using this number, which basically just means, if you owe a credit card or something using a CPN, then you need to make sure that you pay that credit card off and everything, things like that, basically. Now, it also said acquiring a CPN is supposed to be a free service. Therefore, websites that offer CPNs for a fee are most likely scammers. Okay, and this is kind of what somebody has sent to me or showed it to me, and they're basically saying, hey, look, even the FBI is saying that that CPNs are legal. Okay, then this is from their blog site, so probably written by maybe one of their bloggers over there at the FBI. So I said, okay, let me do more research on this. I had said in the video, if you guys show me or have any type of information that shows otherwise, then let me know and I'll take a look at it. And so somebody sent me this article, and I ended up doing more of a deep dive. and ended up finding another article by a company called Wallet Hub. Wallet Hub is a really big blog in the blog space for personal finance, and they actually ended up investigating this even further because they were seeing that a lot of people were using this as an excuse to either use CPNs or sell them, right? Even though it specifically said on there, if anyone selling CPNs for a fee, it's pretty much like that's not legal, right? More than likely it's not legal. And so they went ahead, and what they did was they actually reached out to the FBI themselves to get more information about this. And the FBI said this. And so this is what the FBI said. They said, our financial crimes section said that the intention of the footnote in the 2008 mortgage fraud report was simply that the existence or ownership of a CPN is not illegal. Okay, FBI spokesperson Samantha Sherrill told Wallet Hub, I can't name any particular forms off the top of my head where you would use a CPN instead of your social security number, and the FBI does not track or disseminate these numbers. But if it's not used illegally to mask a crime or past financial history, then it would not be illegal. That's about all that we have or can say on the matter, since the FBI does not control or track these numbers. So basically what the FBI is saying is, if you're not using it to hide a crime that you've done, I guess using your other social, or if you're not using it to hide past financial history, then it might not be illegal. Okay, and basically the whole idea of a CPN, nobody wakes up and says, hey, you know, my credit score, I have an 850 credit score, but I've decided today I'm going to get a CPN. That way I don't have to use my social anymore. Okay, the only people that I've ever heard of using CPNs, and correct, if you have heard of someone else using a CPN for a different reason, throw it down in the comments, right? I'm talking about, you know, specifically, personally, a person that has used a CPN for a different reason, then I'd love to hear in the comments. But the only people that are really using CPNs is people who have bad credit. Right? They're using a CPN because it's almost like playing a video game where you're able to hit the restart button, and now you get a fresh new number that you can use, as opposed to maybe previously on your credit report you had like repos, bankruptcies, whatever it is, collections, all that stuff. Now you get to kind of restart and be able to qualify for a lot of loans that you normally wouldn't get. So to me, that kind of pretty much debunked that point from what majority of people were saying, right, about that FBI article. You know, the FBI themselves have said that it's illegal if you're using it to cover past financial history. Most people, however you want to try to justify it, there's a reason you don't want to use your social anymore. And people try to say things like, you know, I'm not using my social because, you know, I'm using it for my protection. Like, listen, Equifax, there was an Equifax hack that happened a couple years back. 1/3 of Americans have their social is just out there, right? It's on the dark web. So by you saying that you want to protect your social, when it's already like, when one of the biggest credit bureaus has already released that to the public, like released it on the dark web, it doesn't make any sense that you think that you're going to protect it now. So it really, I think, comes down to two issues, right? And everyone in the comments were touching on really two issues. One was like, are CPNs actually legal? And two, where you can actually get CPNs. Okay, one, you can argue that CPNs are legal, just kind of from what the FBI was saying, because at the end of the day, it's just a number, right? Technically I could give all my subscribers, subscriber numbers or something. That it wouldn't make it illegal, right? But if they started trying to use that number for certain things that, or try to use it in lieu of certain other numbers, like for example, maybe they're using it as like a driver license number, then that's whenever you might have issues, right? And I'll deep dive into that even here in a little bit to explain that even further, that thought process. But one, I don't think CPNs are necessarily illegal, right? In terms of having a number, because at the end of the day, it's just a number. I think how you use that number is what makes it legal or illegal. And second, where are you able to get these CPNs? The FBI never once mentioned where these CPNs were available. Okay, if it was something that was given out by the government, don't you think that the government, there'd be some sort of resource that told you, hey, go to this government website and you'll be able to get this number for free? Instead, you have a lot of people who are selling these numbers, and most of these people who are selling those numbers, they're not selling you they're not selling you like a CPN. It's just someone else's social security number that they've taken and are now giving to you to be able to use. Okay, typically it comes from people who are older, right? Maybe people who are in jail, or it comes from a lot of the sources are from people who are younger. So, you know, like adolescents, you can think like little kids, someone who's like 10 years old, they're not going to need their social for at least another 8 years. So, you know, they'll sell you their social. So you start using their social to do whatever you need to do in terms of getting loans. And, you know, they're going to be none the wiser because it's just some kid who doesn't think twice about credit or anything like that. In the end, here's the actual truth. Okay. In my opinion, it doesn't matter whether CPNs are legal or not, because where the actual crime comes in is by you actually using it. Okay. So it doesn't matter if you have a CPN number, but you never use it. That's not illegal. Where the issue comes in is when you start using your CPN number in lieu of your social number or your social security number, right? And guys, it just comes down to it being fraud. And here's why. Now, if you use a CPN number, that's like a whole different credit profile. Now you've literally hidden all the different credit history that you had previously. All your other financial history, I'm not going to see that because you're using a different number. Right? And that's where the issue comes in, because it's considered fraud because on your application form, whenever you're filling out any type of application form for any type of bank, right, they're going to ask you for your social security number. If you put anything else besides your social security number, you are now lying, and that is fraud when you put it on that form. Okay. And that's where the issue comes in. So if you put a CPN number where it says social, you have now committed fraud. And that's the thing that I was trying to get people to understand in the comments. Forget whether CPNs are legal or not. That doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, that's just a number. When you're using it to apply for credit, when it says specifically they want your social, then that's where the issue comes in. And a lot of people are going to say, hey, you know, the government tells you that, you know, you don't legally have to give anyone your social security number. And that's true. You don't have to give anyone your social security number. But if you went to a bank and you applied and asked you for your social and you said no, what are they going to tell you? They're going to say, okay, then we can't help you. We can't give you any type of loans unless we are able to pull your social and you agree to it. So the second that you say no, which is your right, then they're going to tell you, hey, we can't do business with you. And I think that's the part that people were missing, is that you are legally allowed to say no. They are legally allowed to say no as well and not extend you any debt. Okay. So that's kind of the way I was looking at it. And that's really the gist of it. Okay. So, again, guys, CPNs are not the way to go. I always recommend, it doesn't matter how bad you think your credit situation is. I've seen them all. You can fix your credit. It's just about taking the steps to actually get it done. So that's going to be the gist of this video, guys. I'm going to even link below some other resources that you can access. It's going to be a bunch of different videos. One video specifically is talking about how to fix your credit step by step. I'll link to that below, as well as a few other videos about how to get collections accounts removed, inquiries, late payments, whatever it is. I'll link all of that down below for you to check out. And that'll really give you a jump start for you to be able to know exactly what you should do or what you can do to improve your credit score. I think that's going to be more of a long-term strategy, a better strategy for you. That way you're able to have a good score for a longer period of time, as opposed to using a CPN and, you know, potentially facing jail time. Okay. So that's going to be it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed this video, throw a like on the video and make sure you hit the subscribe button as well, so you don't miss any of my future videos. Alrighty, guys, that's going to be it. I'll see you at the next one.